No one likes to feel afraid. Yet it's something that we struggle with our entire lives. When we're little kids and we're afraid of the monsters under the bed or in the closet. And then when we're teenagers and we're afraid of being rejected by our peers or never being loved for who we are. Then we become adults and we get a whole new batch of fears. We're afraid that something will happen to our children. We're afraid we won't be able to pay our bills. We're afraid we won't be good enough or do the thing that we were meant to do. There's so much fear. When FDR was elected president, America was gripped in the terror of the Great Depression. Unemployment was sky high. Things were so bad. People didn't have food. And in FDR, in his presidential campaign, he didn't really make promises. He didn't talk about his plan. He didn't say what he was going to do. He had this gift for being witty and funny and kind of paternal and optimistic. And really what won him the election was Herbert Hoover's failure to connect with the American people and make any major efforts from the White House. And Herbert Hoover was very firm and stern and he wasn't warm and friendly, and FDR was shaking everyone's hand and radio broadcasts and people just liked him. But when he took his first inaugural speech, when he gave that speech, he shifted from being buoyant and optimistic to almost taking on religious overtones in his speech. You can listen to the speech on YouTube or read it online. But he starts out saying, I believe that America will regain its greatness. We are great, and we will come out of this stronger and better than ever. And then he says one of his most famous lines ever. He says, the only thing that we need to fear is fear itself. Nameless, unreasoning, unjustified terror that keeps us from doing the necessary actions to get us out of our problems. The only thing we need to fear is fear itself. That spirit of optimism, that spirit of courage was contagious. FDR led America through some of the darkest days of American history, through the Depression, into World War II. He was there. He gave the speech of the days of infamy when Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. And millions of Americans looked to FDR and wanted to believe that everything was going to be okay. That's what great leaders do. There's a story of a king in the Bible named Ahaz who was not a very good king, and he was young and dumb, and the enemies of Judah were coming down on them. And God told Isaiah, one of the greatest prophets in the Old Testament, he said, Isaiah, go to the king and tell him, do not be afraid. Tell him to be calm. I'll take care of your enemies. In fact, in a generation, they won't even be there anymore. And then the very last part of what Isaiah said to the king, he said, if you want to be established or secure, you have to believe. You see, the key to overcoming our fear is not having enough money so we can buy our way out of problems. It's not controlling the people in our lives so that they'll do what we want them to do. It's not anything that we do. It's what we believe. You see, quantum physics and neuroplasticity and this really cool science of the brain is telling us that what we say out loud and what we believe actually can become true. So if we believe that what we are afraid of will overcome us and it's so big and it will destroy us, then that becomes true in our spirit. But if, like FDR, we throw our shoulders back, we throw on a smile, even if we don't believe it, and we say, I am not afraid of fear. If we look up and believe that God will deliver us, then it somehow, and I don't know how it works, but it opens the door for God to do amazing things in our life. It opens the door, and chemicals are released in our brain and in our body that actually give us more confidence and peace, which open the door for us to do the things that we have to do to overcome our fears. It starts in your heart. That's why Paul said, the righteous live by faith. Faith is what overcomes fear. And I'm not talking about faith in my church or my religion or my core beliefs. I'm talking about faith in believing that good will overcome. That's why over and over and over during this quarantine time, I've been trying to say, God's got this. Because when we believe that no matter what we're facing, when we believe that God's got this, it gives us the courage of David and Daniel and Esther. FDR said, the only thing we have to be afraid of is fear itself. How do you overcome that fear? It's through faith. So today when you're afraid, or next month when you're afraid, or November when you're afraid, or next year when you're afraid, remember the only thing you have to fear is that cold, unreasoning, undisciplined, unnerving fear. And say out loud, I am not afraid. For God is with me. I am not afraid, for he will fight my battles. Moses told the children of Israel standing right at the Red Sea, he said, do not be afraid. Stand still. Stand. Get up. And you will see the deliverance of the Lord. That promise is not just for ancient Hebrews. The promise is for you. Stand still. Believe. And God will deliver you from your fears. Please share this video with someone who's afraid today. Spread the courage. Spread the love. And when things get tough, look up and say, God's got this. God bless you.